All right, let's get right into it. We all have this desire, right? To travel better, to see the world, but not mess it up. The problem is figuring out how to actually do that can feel super overwhelming. So today, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna break down some simple, really practical ways to make your travels in 2025 way more impactful. We're talking everything from your mindset to the choices you make on the ground. Okay, so picture this. You've got the travel bug, big time. You're scrolling, looking at all these amazing destinations, and you're ready to book. But then, there's that little voice in the back of your head, isn't there? The one that's asking, okay, but how can I do this right? How do I make sure I'm not leaving a huge footprint? Believe me, it's a question a lot of us are asking these days. And look, if you feel that way, you are so not alone. The data on this is actually pretty wild. It shows this huge gap. Get this. A whopping 84% of us say we care about sustainability when we travel. But at the same time, nearly half of us are kind of confused by what it even means. And that disconnect, that's the heart of the problem we're digging into today. Yeah, this gap, this is what we're calling the modern traveler's dilemma. It's that really frustrating space, between our good intentions and the messy, confusing reality of actually trying to book a trip. So let's start there. How do we begin to bridge that gap? All right, the first step to bridging that gap, it actually starts with a little bit of a mental shift. It's about looking beyond just the green stuff, the environmental issues. True sustainability is so much bigger. It's about widening our focus to include the people who actually call that destination home and the unique character of the place itself. So just so we're all on the same page, let's get a clear definition out there. Think of sustainable travel like a balancing act. It's not just about trying to do less harm, it's about actively trying to do more good. Good for the local people and good for the environment. And this is where things get really interesting. This is like the next level of thinking. You see, sustainability is all about do no harm, which is great. But the new idea, regenerative tourism, it asks a much bigger, more powerful question. Can we actually leave a place better than we found it? Just think about that for a second. And this isn't just a niche idea either. This shift is happening on a huge scale. For the first time in history, more than half of all global travelers are thinking about their impact on local communities, not just the environment, but the people. That is a massive turning point. And here's exactly why that matters so much. As Dr. Suzanne Becken points out, when tourism just grows and grows unchecked, it puts this incredible pressure on communities, sometimes to a breaking point. It's just such a vital reminder, right? The places we go for vacation, they're somebody else's home. Okay, so we've got that new mindset in place. Now let's get practical. How does this actually translate into the choices we make? Well, in this next part, we're going to focus on the two biggest pieces of any trip, where you stay and how you get there. So, you're looking at a hotel or a rental. How do you cut through all the marketing noise? Honestly, it can be as simple as asking 3 questions. These are your secret weapons. The answers you get will tell you everything you need to know about their real commitment, and it helps you separate the real deal from just a bunch of talk. And hey, to make it even easier, just look for these logos. Think of them as a trusted cheat sheet. These are internationally recognized certifications. If you see one, it's a really good sign that a business is genuinely walking the walk when it comes to sustainability. All right, so you've found a great place to stay. Awesome. But what about actually getting there? This is a big one, because transportation is often the most carbon-heavy part of our entire trip, and it deserves just as much of our attention. So here's the basic trade-off, right? Flying is fast, we all know that, but we also know it has a huge carbon impact. But what about the train? Especially with all these new sleeper routes opening up all over. Choosing rail isn't just about a lower footprint, it completely reframes the journey. Suddenly, the travel itself becomes part of the adventure. It's scenic, it's relaxing, it's a totally different experience. Okay, so you've picked your stay, you've figured out your journey. Now for the fun part. What do you actually do when you're there? This next bit is all about that really important shift in mindset. It's about how to stop being just a tourist and become a truly engaged visitor. And I just have to share this quote from the great Anthony Bourdain because it captures this idea perfectly. He said, "Travel is not a reward for working, it is education for living." And that's it, isn't it? Thinking of travel as an education, a way to learn and grow, not just as an escape from real life. So what does that look like in practice? Well, instead of just snapping a photo of the main sites, get involved. Hire a local guide who can share real, authentic stories. Maybe you join a beach cleanup for just an hour, or you could book a tour led by the indigenous people of that land. It's these kinds of experiences that create those much deeper, much more meaningful connections we're all looking for.
And all of this, it all leads to our final and maybe the most important point of all. And it's this: never, ever forget the power you have as a traveler. Seriously, the choices you make, when added up with everyone else's, literally shape the entire industry. But to use that power well, you've got to know what you're looking for, and just as important, what to avoid.
And that brings us to this big one: greenwashing. You've probably heard the term. It's basically when a company spends a ton of time and money trying to look green more than they spend on actually being green. It's super deceptive, and let me tell you, it is everywhere.
So, the million-dollar question is, how do you spot it? How do you see through all that marketing spin and tell the difference between a place that's making a real effort and one that's just making empty claims? Okay, here's your official greenwashing detection kit. 3 simple things. First, look for those trusted certifications we talked about earlier. Second, ignore the professional, glossy photos and go read what actual guests have said recently on independent review sites. And third, look for specifics on their website. If it's all just vague language about loving the planet, that's a huge red flag.
And David Leventhal from a group called Regenerative Travel just nails it here. He says, don't underestimate the value of guest reviews. He's so right. The experiences of other travelers like you are honestly one of your best tools. They give you the real, on-the-ground truth that just slices right through all the marketing fluff. So, at the end of the day, it really all boils down to this one simple fact. Being able to travel the world freely, that's something only a tiny percentage of the global population gets to do. It's a huge privilege, and with that privilege comes both power and responsibility. So the question we want to leave you with is, how will you choose to use yours?